Step into a world of faith and enlightenment with Path of Faith, where we explore the challenges and triumphs of the human spirit through the lens of religious teachings and divine guidance.
And today we have the opportunity in this program to talk about our life. I always like to say, here we don't deal with theory. The main agenda is the life of all of us. It is my life mixed in your confession, in your prayer request, in your request for counseling. It is our existences being mixed in this beautiful art of meeting. And I thank you to trust your heart to me right now. I want, with great responsibility, to conduct this moment of meeting, because I know that responsibility at this moment is fundamental for God to have your space here in you and you. My people, I have been following, I believe you. Since last night, I was awake to see the rescue of that first miner and child, who for 69 days passed 33 men buried in that mine. And yesterday, when I saw the first man being lined with the earth, I felt a great emotion in my heart, and I followed today. A little still, yesterday before bed, all day long. Always trying to know if it was going well, because for me, that rescue, he speaks a lot to my heart. First, because I think I'm claustrophobic, so I was too agonized knowing that those people were buried, and I put myself in their shoes. Imagine how hard it should be. It must be sad. Painful spending so many days without seeing the sunlight, without having the opportunity to go home. Take a shower. Sleep in our bed. It's so good. No, it is. And as heard mixed in the story of those people I had not even seen right, I followed the rescue of these miners today. When I left home, 5 or 6 more, 6 was missing. I don't know. And I wondered, looking at that capsule where those men were removed, the instrumental, so that these men could be taken from the earth. I kept thinking that in our lives all the time we also need to go through the same rescue experience. When we start interpreting that, from time to time, we also choose to live underground. You may have already experienced it in your life. Some moments in your story where you had that clear feeling that you were in the background. And seeing that capsule, being that depth man, I kept thinking that our conversion process does the same thing with us. When we take our process in God seriously, we are also taken from the underground of the world. When Asli, because of the wrong choices we made, we went to live in the background, When, in fact, we are born, it is upstairs. São Paulo said so seductively, seek things from above. We do not have the right to get used to the underworld, with what is underneath. Men and women who are living this process of construction in God, of conversion into God, are men and women vocational to the heights. Then I was asking God for the grace to be a state all the time, so that I don't get used to underground. I don't know if you realized, and you may have heard, that those men, they have stayed so long in the dark that now they are not able to see the light at once. They will have to get used to the light. It will have to be slowly, a little bit in every moment, until the time comes when they can remove those glasses. Why? The eyes got used to the darkness. And now returning to light is an exercise. You need to relearn. The same happens with us. To contemplate the light of God entering the context of light requires adaptation. And that is why conversion comprises this whole process of adaptation to a new life. We leave the undergrounds of the world. Leave that underworld where lies, drugs, injustice, infidelity, everything that denigrates the human being, everything that deteriorates us. And we want to reach this part higher, now. We do not want to get used to the dirt of the background, but we want to be mashed all the time for this place that is mine, which is that no one can withdraw from law. I don't know if you also need to be lifted in such a capsule, but it may be that at some point in your life you recognize that you are eating from the underworld. Don't want that. Jesus' proposal is for us to always reach more. Today I lived a situation that made me think a lot about the power that gratitude has to reorganize within us. What we lived, and that I always like to compare as if it were a piece outside the shelf. Right? We arranged and left. Something is left, and we can't fit. The emotional life of us is like that too. Trauma. Right? Psychology teaches us that it is precisely an event that did not fit within us at a stage of life. I was traumatized by someone's speech, by an event. So I couldn't accommodate inside me. Because when I am a child, I do not have the filters of maturity that allow me not to let what is being said, that what is being done can hurt me so much. Because I don't have this filter, I end up living trauma, which is my inability to keep what I lived in a positive way. A moment of life comes that all this comes to light. The invoices of the lived will always arrive in our hands. And today I was thinking about how it makes a difference. When we are going to live this organization, we are moved by the feeling of gratitude, which is precisely a way to forgive ourselves. Sometimes we cannot look at what we lived, to those situations where we failed, where we were not able to give the best part, to do the best way. So that does not fit within us, and we are taking a bitterness. And that makes no sense, because the bitterness we feel today does not correct the error of the past. I always like to make the differentiation between guilt and regret. This inability to keep within us, to store in a harmonious way what we lived, usually generates guilt. So I feel guilty because I didn't realize it, because I was failed, because I failed, because I didn't go, because I didn't reach. My goal was not fulfilled. Or I can feel sorry for something I look and recognize that it didn't work out because I made a mistake at some points. I didn't calculate well. I didn't make the best choices. So the regret. And then the regret provides me new opportunities. From it I can correct the gifting. The guilt makes us go back to the past that we don't change. Regret makes us pay attention to the present that is now before me, and that can receive my intervention. I was thinking of how, the moment I'm grateful, I come to the conclusion that life was how it could have been. I didn't have the strength to be strong at that moment. I didn't have the wisdom to choose better. So, as I reconcile this inside me, that I pouring water from forgiveness about it, there is a beautiful expression in mystique that are the ignitions, which are the dives we do in our realities, in the grace of God, in belief. The belief you have in this sacred that dwells you, we get lighter and lighter. So I look at what I lived and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all. I keep thinking, my people, if I had been deprived of all the situations that made me suffer, certainly I would not have achieved even 20% of what I already achieved from me. Of course, I'm far from being on my best version. But what I have already reached today allows me to be a happy man. And all this is because somehow I think I had a very difficult life. I have to this day, I have. But I don't complain, no. I am grateful. I am grateful for life. For all that I have ever able to live, for everything I have today. This gratitude with life, I learn a lot from my mother, who always had a very, very difficult life. By the way, her story inspires a lot, and I never saw a stroke of grudge, hurt in my mother. And everyone who knows my mother knows, right? She has a delicate humor, she's funny, she doesn't have to tell a joke to make us laugh. Many people even at first approach her because it's my mother, right? But after they discover the human being she is, the person gets tiny near her. It has a natural gratitude. I feel like my mother put everything that was messy inside her on the shelf. In the shelf of emotions, everything was very well kept. And today, when I look at her, I have the opportunity to see a good human being with life. Now, there is a lot of a phrase by Aunt Judith, who is Marcos Montenegro's aunt, who lost a son, just as my mother lost two. She tells the whole story, which is very sad. And then she always finished like that. But it's all like that. That's right. I think when we live this daily reconciliation with what happened to us, we will not sleep with resentment. And then it delivers us from feeling victims. Poor things of us. Look how I suffer. Because in fact, this is the great. It is the fact that paralyzes us. When we start to interpret with victimism, I think it is much lighter. We look at life, no matter how hard she is. And she's hard for all of us. Then we look good in her eyes and say, Donna Vida. The lady owes me nothing. It's all right. Let's continue because it's all right.
Thank you for joining us today at Path of Faith. Your engagement means the world to us. So please take a moment to leave your comments, like this video, share it with friends and family, and subscribe for more enriching content.